Tell me that's me in that picture. Oh, God. Everyone can sit down. That'll be great. We gotta get started. We're gonna get started. Thank you, everyone. I know some more people are still gonna be making their way in, as well as people online. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute this. Welcome to the June Ocean Park Association meeting. We have a busy agenda, more so than usual and more so than I'd like, but we had a lot of topics that we wanted to cover this month. So I'm going to kick it off really quickly. We're going to have to probably have some abbreviated questions if there's anything that runs long, so I apologize in advance for that. But if we have to cut anything short, I'll make sure I follow up or connect the right people to follow up on any issues that we have to do so. So let's kick it off with Santa Monica Police Department. I believe we have Officer Halima Barretta online and Officer Hollowell here in person.
Halima gonna go?
Not sure.
Or wait.
Halima, are you there?
How many pictures of you should be there?
Let me out here.
Let's try and do it that way then. The floor is yours, Officer. I don't...
Did you see them in? You can see the chat.
Officer Hollowell, this is Officer Toggle. How's it going, sir?
It's good. Are you reading?
No, Officer Wang is. He should be logging on shortly. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
All right, floor is yours, Officer Wang.
All right. Yeah, I just want to report some stats here. Halima was able to pull some stats for me. One of the biggest crimes that happened this past month, there was a robbery in Lot 9. A group of construction workers were robbed at gunpoint in the parking lot at about 7:55 in the morning. Our detectives are working leads on that. We also have a attempt GTA, meaning a theft of a car that did happen in the 2000 block of Lincoln. We had the victim sitting in the car when the suspect jumped in the passenger side, tried to push out the victim. There was a bit of a struggle. The victim was able to pull the keys out of the vehicle, and the suspect did run away. He was arrested. We also did have a robbery of a purse snatch that did happen in the 2900 block of 4th Street. The victim was walking. She felt somebody tug on her purse, and she turned around, and the male suspect grabbed her purse, ripped it off of her, and was able to flee out of sight. Once again, our detectives are working leads, and we do have good video footage of that. We did have a few burglaries. Mostly they were in the sub garage. One occurred in the 2800 block of Nielsen. We did also have a subject attempt to break in 2800 block of Main Street, but he did not make entry into the home. And then our last burglary was the 500 block of Raymond, where a guitar was stolen out of the victim's room. We did unfortunately have a domestic violence, and that pretty much wraps up the bulk of the stats for this month. Any questions so far?
Question live. No.
Where did you say was the first incident with the construction workers? I didn't hear where it was.
Lot 9.
Lot 9, south.
I'll answer the questions live.
Okay.
Lot 9?
That's right.
Lot 9, is it lot 9 or structure 9?
Give me a second here. Let me confirm that.
You call them structures.
Well, it's weird, they got like lot. I think construction working sounds like,
Any other questions while we're waiting for that?
What time did the incident on 2900 4th Street take place?
I thought you guys were gonna ask like
Did
questions.
2900 of
Are
4th
you guys doing
Street.
stats of the incident, or do you have questions about the crime itself or anything like that?
3 of us live right there.
Oh, okay. So you guys just messed up my whole premise. So, I guess you're gonna have to answer these questions. I thought they had questions about, so they want to know the data that goes along with this. So it's just some of the stuff they want you to repeat. At lot 9, it was a construction worker verified the location, and then at the 2400 block,
I think it was 2900.
2900 block, they would like a time.
But
Yeah.
where is lot 9?
Yeah, stand by for the line.
Lot 9, yeah, I have it on my stats here as lot 9.
It's near Ashland and Ocean Park. I mean, so Ashland and Ocean.
Oh, at the beach?
No, across from Enterprise Fishcom.
Thank you.
To the question of 2900,
Yeah, the time.
what was the street again?
Oh, it was 2900 4th Street, I think.
Time of occurrence, 2900 4th Street, Wayne.
Time of occurrence. I have it as looks like 1835, which is military time for 6:35 p.m.
And that was robbery?
Yeah, that was a
So-
purse snatch robbery.
That's what I was wondering. It's not based on those types of crime or time-wise, you should be looking for the behavior because that can happen at any time. So it's not like you walk around at 6:30 and be like, tomorrow at 6:30, I'm gonna be on the lookout. It's more so you have to be aware of suspicious people, suspicious vehicles, people looking like they're casing the location. If something makes you feel uneasy, making sure you're looking around, you're getting a description of folks, looking at the behavior, people are peeking into yards. So the time is cool if you had a period, like a string of them. But if it's a solo crime, the more so thing that you need to be looking for is protecting yourself or being a good reporter to such things, making sure that you're actually looking at people. Have you noticed young people, you're in the store, you walk past them, they never look at you.
They don't even say hello if you say hello.
Well, they don't say hello, but they don't even look. They wouldn't know who walked past them or anything. A lot of people are looking in their phone. So the biggest premise of that is making sure we're still looking around and seeing, and we're able to observe and report anything that's a problem. If it should become a problem. Question.
Is anything planned, like protest wise with ice stuff?
I think there is a planned protest on Saturday in Powell Park.
11 o'clock.
I'm sorry,
Montana and Ocean Avenue.
Powell City Park.
Montana and
Ocean Avenue.
the park.
I think it's 900.
Starts it earlier than I thought, 11 o'clock to 2:30. I just got it.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll be there too.
I'll be in my area. Any more questions?
What is that? Any other questions for officers? Yeah.
Do you know if the National Guard gonna be there?
Well, I will explain this because this question came up. And I just, there's lots of layering to this response, right? So there's the immigration, the policy itself, the work that the immigration and federal agents do, and then the unrest of behavior. So there has to be a certain amount of law and order. So the presence of National Guard, just like when they were here for the fires, will be the presence that they provide for us, just like any other people. When they were here for the fires, they're very well trained. They know what they're doing. They're part of somebody's community somewhere. In my 44 years, I think I've seen the National Guard more than I have wanted to, from the 92 riots to, I think they came one other time, and then the fires. They've all been kind people. So don't allow the news to create this frenzy when you've seen the National Guard, they were just here 6 months ago, 5 months ago. They showed up, people were taking pictures with them. They were men and women that were my age, and I was in the Air Force, and don't allow this frenzy to take over, because these are someone's children, daughter, husband. Just because there is a political thing attached to it, don't attach that to these young people who are here to provide a service and protect their country, both things foreign and domestic. That's what they do.
Very well said.
So please, if they do come, which I don't believe that they will, or if you see them around and you're in Los Angeles, wave at them, say hello. It's the same thing. They're just here to show presence. Thank you, by the way. Any question?
Yeah, I missed everything. Sorry, but like, what about?
I'm sorry, we don't have time to repeat things. It'll be on YouTube later.
Did you just hear? Oh, okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, officers. Thanks for everything. I know it's tough times, so. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we've got Santa Monica School District. We've got Carrie Upton, Keith Richards. Anyone else? Steve Richardson, sorry.
Keith back.
Here to give an update on the neighborhood school and answer any questions we have. And you're up first.
Right. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I think we were here in October. I think so. So things have been moving along in terms of our reopening of the Ocean Park Neighborhood School. I know that there's been a little discussion like, what's going on? Has something changed? We have had, Carrie will speak to kind of our construction schedule, which has impacted a little bit of on the scope of opening this first year for our neighborhood school. So for those not there and those who were there, I'll repeat, when we had two schools, John Muir and Smash, co-located at the Ocean Park campus. They moved due to water intrusion. At that point, the school district had made a decision to close John Muir and reopen that campus as a new neighborhood school. That neighborhood school will have a lot of things that Smash has and things that Muir had. An interest in social emotional learning, project-based learning, a human-centered approach, doing community impact projects. And so we are looking to open next January, mid-year. We are going to move the students who are at the Obama campus back over to our newly renovated building at between 5th and 6th on Ocean Park. That name, as you can tell, I have not named that school. We are in the process of that, where we will be putting out to families who are at the current Smash and families who are in the have school-age children in the Ocean Park neighborhood. And we have some options that all reflect the community. One question will be, is it going to be Smash again? That is not going to be the name. It is going to be a new community school with a new name. If you live within the boundaries and you have children, that is your home school. If you are interested in going into a different school, everyone in our district has that option. We have an intra-district process that people can follow for that. So this is intended to be a neighborhood school that will hold about 450 kids, TK through 8. We're really excited about it. We're moving along. Next year, we start the expansion, even though we don't move until mid-year. And so that expansion, we thought was going to be TK, an additional TK, K, and first grade. However, we have limited space on the Obama campus, and we have a lot of COVID babies. Lots of 4-year-olds, it turns out. We have enough for 2 TKs. So next year, we're gonna have 2 TKs, an additional K, and then we will scale that up each year as quickly as possible.
And is the preschool coming back?
Well, you didn't answer, Judy. We have the TK.
Not on that campus.
Not on that campus.
But we have a plan for preschool.
Yes, we do. And Carrie can speak to that.
Yes.
Judy, always the advocate for our PK to to 22, and we appreciate that. But we will have 2 full TKs and then did 2 full Ks, and we will continue to grow. So any questions on that part before I hand it over to Carrie? Yeah.
Evan.
Hey, Steve, I know we've spoken before, Evan.
Oh.
You know, as a neighborhood parent, this has obviously been pretty challenging and disruptive, to say the least. You know, as people have scattered to Roosevelt, Rogers, Grant, you know, it's been pretty challenging, to say the least. But, you know, the other thing that really has come up, I think, in the community is, I think what you're promoting doesn't seem to be what Smash is saying. I know I can see some other friendly parents here that have maybe gone to the orientation tours at Smash.
Yeah.
Doesn't really sound like a neighborhood school. It sounds just like a continuity of Smash. So I wonder if you guys have been working on this with Smash. Are they aware of this plan?
We have been working. I oversee all the elementary schools, so I work regularly with Jessica. This is an expansion of that school, and you know, some reimagining of that school to really look at a more global-minded, civic-minded kind of layering over that. So there's some pivoting going on. You know, the district has priorities, and a lot of them do align to many of the things Smash has been doing for a long time, and John Muir. So I think there's one going to be influence from both. There'll also be on the campus some recognition of both, whether it's naming a garden or a building for both campuses. But we're looking, you know, I think all those who are involved at this point are really looking just around continuous improvement and growth. Like, how do we continue to push and grow into something new that isn't a school of choice, but come one, come all?
I mean, I hope that's how it manifests, but it felt different.
Okay.
Sort of smashing. It didn't seem like a continuity of what the city's talking about, perhaps.
Got it.
And obviously disappointing not to see first grade getting doubled up
Yes.
this year. Which, again,
We thought it was gonna be, and then we had such a big TK and limit. In fact, we're putting a bungalow on that campus just to hold, to be able to add 3 classes to the additional TK. But we can also talk, connect up on. Did I see someone back
Sorry, Ted and the young lady.
And Sarah Cheever, I have a student at Smash School. He's going into 2nd grade right now. We're also just around the corner from the campus that was John Muir at Smash. We're really excited to be in this new location and to grow and evolve in this new space. It's really exciting. We're so grateful, tremendously grateful to have this new campus that our children can walk to and grow with, you know. Just, you know, it's all the logistics. I'm sure you're sorting through all of this, and it's going to be happening in real time as the children move. I think the children are like a little scared. Like, what, you know, what does it mean if the name changes? And obviously we'll talk about that with them. And as we do at Smash, we're good at like processing and finding solutions and using community as well to connect with the community. And the children right now, they have a question, a survey, and not like a protest going on, you know, and that's wonderful. That's what they're learning, to have a voice in the community.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a lottery-based portion of the school? Are children from all over Santa Monica going to be able to attend the school as well as the neighborhood?
So all of our schools run that way. So it will be how many do we have to fill these? If we have space, we're gonna prioritize the neighborhood. We're also gonna prioritize those who were once at John Muir and left. If they want to return, they're on a priority list for us. And then if there's space, we want to leave a little space in case someone moves in mid-year. Like, you know, we don't want people to move in January and then have to go across town if we can avoid it. But we also will take intra-district permits from other places for those who have an interest. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Ted.
So I had 2 children went through Smash K-8, and fond memories of it. And I'm sure you already heard that there's consternation among the faculty and staff at Smash that the name's going away. Since the simplified art show the other day, and they all came up to me and said, "Well, God, part of my change." in terms of the naming process, maybe one way to ameliorate some of those concerns is come up with a name, and this may not be the best idea, at least pays homage to Smash, having been there, well, in the neighborhood since the seventies, which is something like the Ocean Park Schoolhouse, so you could have a schoolhouse. Just wanted.
We're on the same wavelength then.
Okay.
And just so you.
Report back to Jessica that.
Yeah. I will. I also have two kids who've gone to Smash, one who's still there, and one who's matriculated. But you know, I think we want to capture the neighborhood. We want to honor the legacy of both those schools that were purposefully co-located on that campus.
Can we all vote on the name?
We haven't decided on the all yet. I mean, I think part of it is how do you capture survey, you know, emails this way. If we were to go old ballot, maybe Judy, but I think right now we're looking at those who are in the system with kids. And we have their information, so. Anybody else before Carrie talks about the interesting stuff?
I do have a question from someone.
Yeah.
Someone online that sent in, asking about the opening date. It's, first it was supposed to be August, now it's January, and I'm hearing whispers January will slip as well. What's your level of confidence?
I will let
Okay.
Carrie speak to that.
Yeah.
Any other questions up there?
Anyone online, anyone in person before we shift? We can jump back to it
Okay.
as more questions come up. Please jump in, Carrie.
Yeah, I said this last time I was here, but just so y'all know, you know, this school, in the nineties just was not built correctly. It wasn't designed and built correctly. And so we started just having regular sort of water issues and then potentially what water created. And as much as we did a number of sort of strategic attempts to try to fix that, it just wasn't working. And so we did close the school with an intent to do what we thought was going to initially be a just water intrusion project, which we would take off the skin, put on new skin, and we'd be ready to go. The division of the state architect who oversees all of our work, while they guided us in that initially, they sort of had a different idea. And that really pushed us into a full upgrade, full seismic and safety upgrade. So everything's being brought fully up to code in the building. And that also took them a little while to figure out actually how to let us do that. We kept going back and forth between our architects and them. They sort of said, do it this way. No, do it that way. No, do it this way. It took us a little while, and that's really what has caused us the delay. We only in the last couple of months have gotten the full approval from the division of the state architect to move forward. But now that we have most everything approved by them, we still have a few little pieces that we're waiting for structurally, but that means Block, our contractor, is moving full speed ahead to get that building done. And many of y'all have seen sort of the improvements. We have taken the scaffolding around what we call building D, and I think it's going away from building C, so you can see the outside. Those rooms are moving very, very quickly forward. And a lot of our sort of improvements are also to the campus, which we'd already planned are happening, which is we're bringing the office out to the front, which creates a better security system. Good. We're bringing a better drop-off pickup area so there will be avenues and ways to drop off pickup, because we just know that that was a challenge with the street and everything. And we are in the old office space developing a really great innovation lab so that some of the things that we do really hold important in our project-based learning can occur in those spaces. So it is moving along. We have very strong confidence that we'll be ready to open in January. We didn't make August, but we do mostly because we just kept waiting for the division of the state architect to approve our plans so we could get going. But now we're going full speed ahead and everything is going. I have Kevin Klaus, who's our deputy bond program manager, and Kay Kadem, who is our construction manager. Do you have anything you wanted to say quickly about where we are in our process and what's happening right now?
As Carrie mentioned, so we've been moving along much faster than a few months ago. Now we have the DSC approval, and you see a lot of changes in the painted building. You see the changes in.
Yeah, come up over here. And stand so people can hear you and see you.
Yeah, the parking lot has been.
Thank you.
The parking lot has been tore down. We built a new parking lot, new kitchen. How much? So
new roof, you name it. Like pretty much everything from A to Z a building could get, it's a brand new stuff.
Yeah, and, you know, and we'll definitely be, waterproof. Yes.
Thank you guys for coming. I'm so excited that the drop-off pickup situation is gonna be safer. I have like a nitpicky question, but it's out of love. Were you guys able to save all the tiles all the kids painted over the years and were hung on the outside of the walls? on that
Some, but
campus?
mostly not.
That's-
No, there was no way to remove them.
Yeah,
And,
we knew it was gonna be really hard.
yeah,
so.
yeah, we looked into it and tried. But,
There are some old John Muir ones that were never hung. I've got.
well, my,
We took high quality pictures and we can offer whoever wants to collect them, send them a link of all the tiles.
Thank you,
We
that's
hire
very-
a professional to
lovely.
pictures.
Since you brought it up, can you talk a little bit about what that drop-off pickup parking situation will be like for some of us that live on the blocks facing the school? That has been beyond a horrible issue for years, so that would be really great if you could address that.
right, so there will be, I believe it'll be an entrance from Sixth Street going through to Fifth Street. So they'll be able to drop off right in front of the school, so they'll be off of the street for that. And then we're expanding the parking lot a little bit, enough to make sure we have enough parking for the staff to park there. But it'll be able to sort of go, turn, go, and then head off that way. So that it pulls a lot of that drop off pickup away from, the streets. It also will allow for the bus drop off to be off of the street also.
Will there be any type of enforcement or is that a parent volunteer thing?
We will most likely work with the school to have like a valet experience. And then, of course, we'll continue to work with our, police department to make sure that people are trying to follow the rules, that we're trying to make sure that that is. Yes, sir.
You say you believe that that's the way it's gonna work. I thought you just said you had approved plans.
We do have approved plans.
Is that-
It might actually, well, the problem is, this is what I remember. How does it work? I'll ask the guys who are building it. The pathway for vehicles to come and go, or Kevin might know this.
I'm here for moral support, but Kay does know the plans. He knows.
It does, here's a fit from fit. So now the main office from building A moved to building B, which is like, you know, next to the parking lot. So you come from Fifth Street, drop it off at the main office, that will be building B, and then you can get out to Sixth Street. I'm
Enter
sorry.
Fifth, is it enter six, go out
Six,
Fifth?
Fifth, that's what I did.
That's what I remember.
6 to 5th.
We have actually plans at our district.
That's the whole.
Website that actually tell us what this is. My problem is when we went to the designing of this, we looked at 4 different plans, and I think I remember which one.
So it used to be Island, if you remember, used to be Island. It used to be a separate gate from Fifth, separate gate from Sixth Street. Now it's going to be connected. There is no more Island. It's going to be electric vehicle charges on the left side. It will be some nice planting and more space actually. It's more space and easier for picking up. and
So
dropping off.
basically, it's gonna be a pass through from Fifth or
Yeah.
Sixth.
I think it's the fifth.
I'm not too sure what was the reason behind. It was Island, not
Just
sure,
because it
but
was 2 schools.
two school, but now it makes sense to, you know.
Yeah. One school. It never really particularly worked.
Yes.
Is there any plan to remove the middle lane, which is now trees, which has made less lanes on Ocean Park Boulevard?
We're not.
I don't think they can address Ocean Park Boulevard.
Yeah, we're not touching Ocean Park. Yeah. Yes, sir.
When you guys say you're full speed ahead now, you're gonna keep working Saturdays?
Most of Saturdays, yes. I'm sorry, yeah, but we try to work less exterior work and do more work interior work. That's the intent. Obviously, the direction is like, don't do any jackhammering, for example, on Saturdays or demo. We should pass all the demo, the parking lot, and it should be just now just building the building up. So, and yes, we tend to work on pretty much all the Saturdays because of the days we lost due to DSA. So now we're going to work Saturdays to make the January deadline. But as we has been notifying the neighborhood every week that we work on Saturdays.
That's one thing, if you aren't signed up for our neighborhood mailer, we do push out information for every, for construction for each of our schools, so you can know, what is happening. If we finish with this, I do have one other thing to say. Yes.
I live on Fifth Street.
Yes.
There's two issues.
Okay.
One is there's a area where the dairy trucks back up in about the middle of the street.
Okay.
And they drop off their stuff, and before skateboarders were using that. They'd run off and then they'd jump off the thing, and maybe you could put some kind of gate there.
Do you talk about the Fifth Street gate?
No, we're talking about on Fifth Street. There's a drop-off area where the dairy company comes and they drop off.
Oh, right by the kitchen, by the cafeteria.
Still
We
a little
want to see if
low.
we can do something to remove the skateboarders jumping on that. Let's take a look at that and we'll figure out if there's some
And then the other
deterrents.
thing, you've got a stairway entry on Fifth Street, about the middle of the block.
Yeah,
I don't know what's gonna happen, but, the homeless were hanging out there, especially in the evenings. So that's something to be considered. And maybe you can make the gate look, the trash gate look a little better.
let's see if we can make the trash gate look a little better.
Okay, and then, I know, gosh, this is for all of you. If you have employees who smoke, they're gonna smoke across the street, my side, it's fine, I'm not.
Sorry, this was brought up before, and we looked
No,
into
let me
it.
finish.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm not complaining about the smoking. I'm really not.
Okay.
But have them pick up their cigarette butts.
Yeah.
I talked to the guy at the construction center today, and he was very nice about it. And then when the school opens, you might have employees who want to smoke. And they're gonna go across the street, they should be responsible for picking up their cigarette butts.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay,
So we will work on that.
We do, but it was brought up as before, and we notified the contractor, it wasn't us, and they told us there's a construction happening residential across the street.
yeah, I know, I
And
heard that.
that's
But I
the
think
bit.
some of it could be some of your guys too.
Oh, okay, oh,
Sure.
let's make sure it's not our guy.
Thank you.
And then just to say, thank you all for, who voted on Measure QS in November. As we said, we were shovel ready with a lot of projects. We've already started the grant TK project, which should be ready in August. That one's going forward. Also, we have the new classroom building at Grant, the new classroom building at Roosevelt. We have the new John Adams STEM building, which will be starting. All of this is starting like at the end of this week, the new Lincoln 500 modernization. So we have a lot that we've been working on that we're going forward. And then after SMASH moves back to the Ocean Park Neighborhood School, we will be taking the Obama Center and we'll be moving the Olympic High School back to the main building. And then in the back, we're taking about 7 classrooms and making a whole preschool world just for preschool.
There you go.
So we have a whole thing. So Judy, we're taking care of it with Susan. We're redesigning it, all of the sort of things. And
Very
also
good.
there's a new special education unit that will be there that also is being developed for some of our students. So there's a whole plan that's happening because yes, with the new transitional kindergarten TK taking all the 4-year-olds going on campuses, it meant that we've sort of pushed a lot of our younger students. So a lot of those were the 4-year-olds anyway, but the 2s and 3-year-olds sort of got pushed off the school campuses. We need a place for them. So they'll continue to be at Washington West, at Lincoln, at John Adams, and at the Obama Center. Okay?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
All right, next we've got a new group from the Department of Transportation here. Sir?
He's got it.
Just where they were on this other rail. Just let me know. I unfortunately, this was the time for a break.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to see you all. I know you have a very packed agenda tonight, so I will try and keep the presentation pretty brief. So if you have any questions or want to talk about anything related to transportation, we can get into that. But for those of you I haven't had the privilege of meeting, my name is Anuj Gupta. I'm the director of the Department of Transportation for the city. I'll tell you a little more about what that means in a second, but I've been with the city for 8 years. I live in your rival neighborhood, Sunset Park, just up the way. And I've lived here with my family and very excited to have been the director of this team for about 2 years. Joined here by Chief Planning Officer for the DOT, Jason Klieger in the back, and my colleague Danielle, who leads some of our community engagement efforts. And I believe we have some of our partners from the police department's traffic enforcement team online as well, in case any of you all want to talk about that. So what I'm holding in my hand, I'll briefly overview in our presentation, but this is our annual report. We rebooted our annual report and released a physical and online copy, which really brings together all of the work that we've done in the community over the past year, sharing some of our successes, some of our metrics, and some of our plans for the year ahead. So just a little bit of background. Next slide, John. Thank you. We're actually a pretty young department. We were created about 5 years ago, where the Big Blue Bus, which was its own department previously, was brought together with the mobility division that does all of our kind of streets planning and complete streets projects, and our parking division under one department and one integrated leadership, which makes sense because it's all the different things that touch how you move around our city, all the different modes, obviously where you park if you are driving a car, all under one roof. And again, we're really focused on creating a safe, sustainable transportation network focused on accessibility for all in our community. So, you know, how that manifests itself, I don't want to get into all this on the slides, but of course, great transit service through Big Blue Bus, pedestrian and bicycle pathways and options that are safe and accessible to connect our neighborhoods, shared mobility and micro-mobility, accessibility for seniors, for low-income people in our community, people with disabilities, and safe and accessible parking structures. And you know, what's exciting about our department is we're a very large department, but that means we also really get to touch on pretty much all of the city council's priorities. Previously, there were 5 under the prior council. We are down to 3, which are clean and safe streets and neighborhoods, affordable and secure housing for all, and economic recovery and economic development. And if you think about it, transportation is really connected to advancing all of that work in terms of getting people around safely, connecting them to school, to jobs, to job interviews, doing it in a way that's sustainable, that's safe, and of course, making sure that our streets are safe also for people, whether they're walking, biking, rolling, driving. We want to make sure that people are moving around our community safely. You can go ahead too, Sean. So just to quickly overview, again, the divisions within the department, parking, the city, as you may know, owns pretty much all of the beach parking, and then all of the downtown parking structures, as well as the on-street parking, the meters, and then many lots all around town. So we are focused on maintaining those, keeping those experiences as safe and welcoming as possible, enhancing security, and then also residential parking permits and visitor parking as well. So we issue 90,000 residential and beach parking permits every year. When it comes to mobility, our mobility division is focused on pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicle safety and access. So just in the year that we were reporting in the annual report, we upgraded about 4 miles of bike lanes, reduced speed limits all across the city. I'm sure that's something that you all will want to talk about. We improved crosswalks, 222 crosswalks across the city, added a lot of those, what we call RRFBs, the little blinky lights that help you and help drivers be more aware when you're crossing the street. Upgraded curb ramps, added always stop intersections, including one that Judy has been after me for years, and we got that last year, which was very exciting, and updating our signal timing across the city as well. And then, of course, the Big Blue Bus. So this number, I'm proud to say this was our 2023-24 number, 8.6 million passengers. This year, which is the fiscal year is about to end, we are likely to hit 10 million passengers, which is a huge, about a 15 to 17% increase, getting closer to our pre-COVID numbers. If you haven't ridden Big Blue Bus lately, it is very safe. We're very proud of how clean our buses are, both in terms of the actual cleanliness on board, but also how green and environmentally friendly they are. We have already had 19 battery electric zero emissions buses in our fleet, and we have 15 brand new ones that we are receiving over the next few weeks, so that we'll get to 34 electric buses in our fleet, about 1/6 of our fleet, and we're on track to be 100% zero emissions by 2030, which was a goal that prior council, including former Mayor Davis, had set us on many years ago, and we are working very hard to get not only the buses, but also completely overhaul our bus yard over in Colorado to be a fully zero emissions bus yard with charging infrastructure. Big infrastructure project, but very exciting. It'll help us be one of the first in the region to be zero emissions. We've invested in a new transit safety officer program. And of course, many of you may be familiar with MODE, our program that we partner with Lyft for older adults and adults with disabilities to make sure they have access to transportation as well. So this is what I really wanted to spend a little more time on, and I think we'll talk more about, which is what's coming up, right? So the City Council adopted last summer our Brighter Blue plan, which is a big service improvement plan to Big Blue Bus to expand hours, more service earlier in the morning, later at night, more service on weekends, and added frequency on our key routes, right? So Route 3 on Lincoln, Route 7 on Pico, the one on Santa Monica Boulevard are all going to be getting increases in frequency. Other routes that were only weekday only are going to be added to weekends, making sure that we're meeting the demand and continuing to grow ridership and make Big Blue Bus a really reliable transit service. We have mobility capital projects that are happening all across the city. If you've been on the eastern part of our city lately, around Bergamot, we have multiple projects underway to add protected bike lanes, add enhanced sidewalks, new lighting, new sidewalks on Olympic. It's all about, again, safety, connecting, and creating this network so that folks who want to navigate the city without a car can do so safely, whether they're on a bike, whether they're walking on Big Blue Bus. We have that project. We have protected bike lanes coming in the coming year on Colorado and on Broadway. We are coming to City Council tomorrow night with the Santa Monica Boulevard Safety Study. Santa Monica Boulevard, as you may know, is not the most attractive or friendly street for different modes of traffic. And so we are really going to focus on some improvements that we can do to make it safer and make it more attractive, no matter how you're getting around. We're leveraging technology. We have an exciting program to keep our bus lanes clear with AI cameras that we are about to launch. We hope to do the same in the coming year with bike lanes as well to keep those clear. Working with the AV companies, Waymo, of course, we don't regulate them, we can't, but we are trying to work with them as closely as we can to make sure that their operations are safe, responsive to neighborhood concerns, and that they're integrating well in our mobility environments. We're working on bringing in more shared micro-mobility and more e-bikes into our shared mobility program. Like I said, we're growing our electric bus fleet. We're in the middle of a parking study right now to assess our parking demand and also reassess our parking rates. As you probably know, the city is in some pretty tough financial straits, and parking revenue is a key source of revenue. So we want to make sure not just that we're jacking up rates on everybody, but that we're adjusting our rates in a way that's smart, that supports our business community, but of course does bring in some additional revenue for the city. And then of course, I spend a lot of time these days thinking about all the big events coming to town, right? The FIFA World Cup coming next summer, and of course the Olympic and Paralympic Games coming in 2028, many other major sporting events. How do we make sure that people coming from all over the world have a great transportation experience and hopefully a car-free transportation experience, but also not forgetting that our residents, our community, we want to make sure their access to transit and transportation is not compromised when we have all these tens of thousands of visitors, millions of visitors coming to town. So that's kind of my fast run through. I wanted to keep it brief so that we would have time for questions. If you all have any questions that I can't answer, maybe Jason or Danielle can, or our PD folks on the line, and I'm happy to follow up on anything that we're not able to answer today. John.
So, welcome to Ocean Park.
It's nice to be back.
We're really concerned about pedestrian safety.
As are we.
And I'm sure you realize that we have a little clout now. And you're going to see some things coming, hopefully from the council and hopefully from the neighborhood. So I'm hoping that, you know, when we come, right, some of us on the board, you'll welcome us with open arms because we do have our own ideas. But and that has to do with grants. So I'm just trying to get us your sense of what is really happening at the state level in Washington and your ability to get grants. I know the climate's a little different than it's been. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Don. Thank you. First of all, to your first point, we are always welcome. As you know, we've had conversations before, and you know, pedestrian safety is a big focus of ours. We've talked a lot about Nielsen, not just you and I, but a lot of folks in this room, and have made some improvements. There's some limitations there that I know are frustrating to many of you, frustrating to us, but we have reduced the speed limit. We have some more grant-funded improvements coming to Nielsen soon. So we are always open to talk. And hopefully you see that as much as we can, we deliver as well on improving safety. And I got you to your south side. So with regard to grants, it's something we think about. Obviously, we were preparing for, depending on the results of the election last fall. We are definitely not kind of retreating on our pursuit of grants, especially at the state level, advocating for Metro or SCAG grants, right? And we continue actually to receive and have success at that level. We just put in a major grant application in partnership with our housing team that if we get it and we feel as good as you can about these things, it's a state grant, we would have additional funds for an affordable housing development downtown, but also for Big Blue bus improvements and a protected bikeway on 14th Street. So, we're being strategic. We're not going to throw a bunch of effort into grant applications that, we know due to the new federal criteria, Santa Monica may not be as favorably looked upon. So we may set some things aside and reprioritize, but there still is money flowing from the state, money flowing through SCAG and from the county that we are going to be really strategic about pursuing, because especially on the mobility side, we cannot do our work without grants. And so one of the things that we were grateful to the council for getting, putting Measure K on the ballot, getting it approved, and then approving our recommendation is that we'll use some of those Measure K parking tax revenues to be our local grant match so that we can actually kind of stretch our grant dollars further, which is going to be really important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark.
90,000 permits in the city of 90,000 seems like a lot of permits.
It's a lot of permits. We have a lot of cars. It is, but that also accounts for our beach permits. And then we do have, a lot of folks who live in multifamily who don't have their own parking, right? So they need a street parking permit, multiple street parking permits. We try to do it in a way that manages demand and keeps, parking availability. That's a key concern as well. We will be, as I mentioned, we were in that parking study that we're in the midst of to look at the parking rates. We did get some direction from the city council at the last meeting to increase those residential parking permit rates. So those are likely going to be going into effect in July. But it's a high volume of work that we do to manage all those permits and make sure that we can manage parking access across the different neighborhoods.
I've tried.
Go ahead.
I've tried over the years to think of something to solve this problem, and I can't. So I'm going to put it on you, I guess.
We'll try.
But historically, ever since I moved here in the 70s, there's been a parking problem, especially in the Ocean Park area east of Main Street. Is there some way? I seem to remember something, some attempt at it, to gently nudge people who have a parking spot assigned to them off the street to use it instead of using it for storage or other things and taking up spaces on the street with their cars, which they don't have to do.
Right.
Is there some incentive we can come up with?
It's a good question. I mean, we do for residential parking permits. I don't think we sort of filter based on whether or not somebody has a garage or has kind of on property parking. But I hear your point that it creates an issue where people who don't then get maybe squeezed out. So it's something, that we're open to creative ways of looking at that.
And your department to ask landlords to include a clause in the rental agreement that maybe there's a discount in the rent that, would help.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting idea. I think when it comes to multifamily developments now, thanks to changes in state law, also landlords are what they call unbundling parking. So they are charging separately for that. So people who choose to pay for on-site parking can do that. That's in kind of larger multifamily developments, but we're open to other ideas to navigate that problem. And then a big part of what our work is, right, is to give people, especially within our community in Ocean Park, access to a lot more different options. So maybe they don't have to have a car or don't have to have a second car or a third car that will take up space, whether that's on the street or on their property. So that's kind of it's all connected, right, to managing different ways to get around our community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Last question, sorry.
Yeah, we got a couple. Does the bus take cash?
The bus does take cash, yes. We did have a pilot where we did not for a bit, but we.
In LA, I think you have to have a tap card.
LA, I believe, does take cash as well. But our fares currently are $1.25 cash, $1.10 for tap, and then as of August, that'll be moving up to $1.50 for cash, $1.25 for tap.
And then are they talking about putting speed bumps on 5th and 6th Street where the school is?
Good question. So speed bumps are a challenging topic for us.
We gotta have something about.
Right, bumps, humps, tables, they're all difficult. There's lots of different options. And we are, working closely. We have a really strong partnership with our fire department, but I'll tell you, the challenge navigating those types of things are the emergency response times. So we've made some adjustments to speed bumps in Sunset Park, actually in my neighborhood, that seem to be having better results for fire, which gives us the possibility of looking at that in the future.
Going up Ocean Park Boulevard from Lincoln, 25 miles per hour is a bit of a challenge. Because it's a steep hill.
In terms of
Getting up the hill at 25 miles.
25. Yeah, well, we did recently adjust our speed limits downwards, but yeah.
Did you have one last quick question? Quick one.
I have a follow-up to the Ocean Park.
We're really low on time. Let's try and
Okay.
go quick.
Do you have any input in this most recent proposal by Councilmember Zwick about raising parking permits from $23 to $40 for your first permit, from $28 to $50 for your second residential permit? And did you have any input in possible addition of adding parking meters on Nielsen Way? Do you have any input on any of that stuff? Do you have any thoughts on that stuff? Nielsen Way is very trafficy. To put parking meters there seems horrible.
Sure, so I'll address those in order really quickly. So the specific rate increases that the council directed last week, those, we learned about that earlier that morning. It was part of an effort to identify revenue, given our challenging environment. As I mentioned, we were planning on, as part of our parking study, going with some rate increases later on in the summer to the city council. These kind of, jumped ahead of that, and we are working with the council now, and we'll bring those back. The council voted to approve those specific increases. So that's kind of the response on that one. On Nielsen Way, I think the idea there actually is in part to slow speeds and calm traffic by having there be one lane of vehicle traffic rather than two if you have parking at least kind of off peak. Meters is challenging because, as you all know, there's not necessarily enough sidewalk on a lot of those blocks to have a meter. There's not enough sidewalk as it is. So that's part of what we're going to look at to see where we could safely add meters, not compromise ADA access and pedestrian access. But the direction is really to look at parking as a way to slow speeds and address some of the safety concerns there.
Last comment, Judy?
I'm confused about the speed limit on Ocean Park. Is it 25 miles per hour all the way through the city, or does it stop at some point?
I don't off the top of my head remember. We did reduce it, I believe, for most of Ocean Park. I think the easternmost stretch was 35. I think that is now 30, I believe. I had actually recently seen
Well,
one.
let me just say, the signage needs to be re-looked at
I
and
noticed that some of the signage may be a little bit not fully up to date yet, so we're working on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to be with you all. I'll be here for a bit. Always welcome your input.
All right, and next up, we've got Jonathan Blue from the Rent Control Board, who joined a year and a half ago. To share his priorities with us.
Yeah, hi, thank you. As was mentioned, my name is Jonathan Hollov. I'm the Executive Director of the Rent Control Board. Thank you for inviting me here to speak tonight. I also want to thank Rent Control Board Commissioner Erica Leslie. She worked with your leadership to get me here. Since I've only got 15 minutes, I'll not go that long so I can answer some questions. To briefly introduce myself, I began my career as an attorney representing municipalities in the Inland Empire. I then was a deputy county counsel with Riverside County. For 13 years, I worked for the city of West Hollywood, our neighbor, first as a staff attorney and then as the rent stabilization manager. And I was offered the privilege of serving as the executive director by the board just about a year and a half ago. And I replaced someone you might know, Tracy Condon, who was a longtime figure here. And those are big shoes to fill. Many of you might be familiar with the Rent Control Board's role in Santa Monica, but for the benefit of those who might not be, I'll give a quick overview. The Rent Control Board was established by a voter initiative through a charter amendment in 1979 in response to a housing crisis marked by high rents and low vacancy. Obviously, it's all been solved since that time. While it is a part of the city government, the board is independent from the city council, the city manager, and the city attorney. And we have 5 elected commissioners who serve 4-year terms currently. That consists of our chair, Kurt Gonska, our vice chair, Danny Ivanoff, Commissioner Leslie, and Commissioners Phyllis Dudick and Kay Ambrose. The board's responsibilities include setting rent adjustment rules, adopting regulations to implement the charter, and overseeing the registration of controlled rental units. It also hires staff and sets the agency's budget independently. The agency has 4 departments: administration, legal, hearings, and public information. Administration supports customer service, board meetings, IT systems. The legal department advises and defends the board. Our hearings department adjudicates petitions, including those for rent decreases, for loss of amenities. And public information handles outreach, website, newsletters, seminars, and publishes our annual report. That annual report is available online if you'd like to take a look at it. It includes data on controlled housing, legal updates, policy trends. One thing it includes this time is information about the Ellis Act. We publish information about that every year. This year, we've actually had more units enter the controlled stock, which is unusual, but a good sign that Ellis removals are low and people are coming back on the market with ones that have been removed in the past. Santa Monica currently has around 27,600 controlled units, with the vast majority being 1- and 2-bedroom apartments. The distribution of these units varies across different parts of the city, but what remains consistent is the vital role they play in preserving housing for a diverse group of residents, seniors, working families, students, and longtime members of our community. We also continue to see the effects of the Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act. That was a state law, for those who don't know, that was passed in the 1990s that limits how cities regulate rents. It prohibits cities from capping the initial rent on a new tenancy. So when a long-term tenant moves out, landlords can reset the rent to whatever the market will bear. Still, once a tenancy begins, the Rent Control Board limits those annual increases. This is why preserving the long-term tenancy is critical. Back in 1999, shortly after the full implementation of Costa-Hawkins, roughly 90% of rent-controlled units in Santa Monica were still occupied by long-term tenants who had moved in before vacancy decontrol took effect. Today, that number is completely flipped around. Now, about 80% of those same have been rented at market rate at least once, and only 20% are occupied by long-term pre-decontrolled tenants. This shift underscores the significant impact that vacancy decontrol has had in shaping the rental landscape in Santa Monica. So supporting our long-term tenants while ensuring that new tenants also have protections against sharp increases is central to the board's mission. On that note, the board has announced a 2.3% general adjustment for this year, which goes into effect September 1st. This is based on a formula tied to the Consumer Price Index. The board, and this is true every year, the board is also considering a cap. This year, it would be $60 on an increase for units with maximum allowable rents of $2,587 or more. That proposal is scheduled to be considered at the board's public meeting, which is this week, June 12th, and it's not yet been approved. But if you're interested in following the outcome of that meeting, it'll be available live on the city's YouTube channel at 7 p.m. on the 12th, but it will also be summarized in a subsequent mailing that all landlords and tenants will receive. Tenants can also verify their maximum allowable rent on a number that is printed on the back of the newsletters we send out, but it can also be checked at any time online. So whether you're a landlord or a tenant and you want to confirm what the maximum allowable rent is for your unit, you can access that on our website. You just go to that section, plug in your address, and the maximum allowable rent will come up. Anyone with questions, or if you see a mismatch between your rent and what you're paying, do contact us. Sometimes the issue is a delay in registration. Sometimes the landlord chooses to charge less than the mark. Other times it may involve lawful surcharges or errors that just need correcting. But if your rent does exceed the lawful norm without justification, we have a petition process for retrieving rents that have been overpaid. Regarding other types of disputes, our hearings department provides an important service. The tenants can file petitions for rent decreases if the amenities are removed, or if there are significant issues with construction-related impacts. In 2024, the board updated the dollar ranges for rent reductions to reflect today's rental market. Some of the first changes to those amounts in several years. These updates make sure that the remedy matches the reality of what tenants are paying and what services they should receive in return. One hot topic that I've heard about for years and is ongoing is security deposits. To address that, under a recently adopted state law, landlords must now take photographs documenting a unit's condition both before and after a tenancy if they plan to deduct $125 or more for cleaning or repairs and that sort of thing. These photos, along with receipts, must be provided to the tenant within 21 days of move out. This helps to prevent unfair or undocumented deductions, which, like I said, I've heard about quite a bit. The board is also making strides in accessibility. Thanks to Commissioner Leslie's leadership, we've expanded our translation services. Our website is more comprehensive than ever. YouTube's auto translate is helping constituents access meetings. We now regularly provide materials in Amharic, Farsi, and Spanish, with more languages to come. And finally, I just want to underscore the importance of tenant protections embedded in the rent control charter amendment. These include just cause protections, meaning that tenants cannot be evicted without a lawful reason. In cases where landlords withdraw units from the market under the Ellis Act, they must follow specific rules and timelines, and tenants are entitled to relocation assistance. Encouragingly, like I mentioned, in 2024, more withdrawn units were returned to the market than removed, and it's a positive trend. We hope it continues. To wrap up, rent control is one of the key tools we have to help keep Santa Monica a livable, balanced, and diverse community. It supports stability, fairness, and affordability. While it is not a silver bullet, it makes a real difference in the lives of a lot of people. We know there are always improvements to be made, and we're constantly working to adapt the program to today's realities. If you or someone you know has questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I brought magnets with our phone number for your refrigerator, so if you didn't enjoy the speech, hopefully that makes up for it. And, our team is very approachable, responsive, and here to help. So thanks again for having me tonight, and it's been a pleasure being here. And I see there's a question.
Thanks.
I think we all want to know. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Is there anything that rent control can do to help with the community core building that's happening? Pico, Virginia Avenue, those 100 low income people that live there? Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. It's something that is currently in the Department of Housing and Human Services.
Yeah.
It's not really something that we deal with since development is handled by a different part of the city, but I am aware of that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, Jeff.
There are huge increases upcoming on the water. Santa Monica, is that passable down from owners to renters?
At the moment, no. It's not something that can be passed down for, there are some surcharges that can be done for older tenancies. As of 2018, the board determined that those tenancies from that point forward would not have to pay those surcharges. But at the moment, no, that's not something that's passed down unless it's part of the earlier regime.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our final speaker is former mayor and current Ocean Park resident, Liam Davis. Yay. Probably to talk a little bit about our time on the council and where things are headed and what we can be doing.
Thank you. Well, it's so great to see you all. And for the first time, stand in front of this group, not on the city council. Oh. You can't complain to me. At least I can't solve your problem.
26 is coming.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But I do want to talk a little bit about, I had such a wonderful time on the council, not representing all of you here at Ocean Park, but really the entire city. It's really remarkable, as Judy well knows, that the things that we can accomplish in this city when we all work together. And, it's really been exciting to see a lot of the changes. I know a lot of people are a little nervous about change. Not all the change is always for the better. But when you think about, what's happening in this community, you just heard from the rent control board. Well, one of the things that's important about building housing and maintaining rent control is it means those of you who have kids in the schools, when they graduate, they'll have a place to live because we have more affordable housing in Santa Monica. It means we have great education, as Judy well knows, from the youngest ages, the infant care, all the way up, of course, to our magnificent public schools, and then, of course, into Santa Monica College, which is a really outstanding community college. So this is really a community that we have all the assets, and we've gone through some tough times. You all know about it. We certainly have gone through COVID, being a place that depends significantly on tourist income. COVID was very difficult. We then, of course, moved into a situation where, unfortunately, we had someone who was a city employee who engaged in unlawful activity, leading to over 300 lawsuits for the sexual abuse of young children. The city is still dealing with that and looking for ways to try and mitigate its potential liability, but that's really to put a hit on the budget. There are also some other liabilities hanging over its head. And the fact that, as you all know, we have what I'll call politely uncertainty at the federal level. Just today, the president decided he was going to cut off all money to California, but we're a part of California. The state budget is not particularly flush. They have a multi-billion-dollar deficit that they're dealing with. And so, we are not alone in facing our challenges, but it also means we can't look to other levels of government. Even the county, which has always been one of our chief partners, is facing some economic challenges as well, for many of the same reasons we are. But there is always a silver lining to every cloud, and the silver lining to this cloud is we have a young council that's really settled down, they're invigorated, they want to do some tremendous things for this community. I encourage you all to reach out to them, get to know them. They, just have some fabulous ideas, and they really are looking towards the future. We have a new city manager who's coming, Oliver Chi, who used to be the city manager in Irvine, before that Huntington Beach. Don't worry about the Huntington Beach connection. He was there before they went crazy. So we're sort of beginning a new chapter, turning a page, new council, new city manager. And I, for one, am really excited about what they're going to be able to do. They do have a massive challenge. Our budget is very, very tight. I mean, we are at the point where the city is proverbially looking for dimes in the sofa cushions. But nevertheless, the budget will be passed at the second meeting in June, and not this coming Tuesday's meeting, but 2 weeks from Tuesday. And as you heard from Anuj, one of the things that the council did at the budget study session, which was this last meeting in May, they directed the Department of Transportation to begin the process of whether or not it's parking meters. Parking meters was one of the ideas that came up, but looking at ways to make Nielsen Way a more safe environment for drivers, for pedestrians, for cyclists. We want everyone to be safe. I'm sure you all know there was recently an accident on Nielsen Way. We live near Nielsen Way and occasionally see the car go up on someone in the median or someone's front lawn. So we want everyone to be safe. We are a Vision Zero city, which means we are made a priority of trying to reduce traffic fatalities and injuries down to zero. And it's a big bite to take, but I think it's something that this council is really committed to. And you can see that with the changes you've seen, even the infrastructure on curbs and things like that, making it easier for people who have mobility issues. We have increased cycling infrastructure, more protected bike lanes, and that really keeps everyone safe. So it's a really exciting time to be in the city. I'm so glad that now that I'm not on the council, I have time to come spend it with you all. And I'm so excited. I do want to say, just a big thank you. When you sit on the council, you hear from a lot of people. You hear a lot from the various neighborhood groups. But I want to say that of all the neighborhood groups, and I can say this because I'm a member, the Ocean Park Association was always really wanted to partner with the city government. And that's really important. You know, look, we all have complaints. We all want to see things done differently. But, you know, my mother always used to say you catch a lot more flies with honey than vinegar. I will tell you, when you sit on the city council, you get a lot of vinegar. But what I always got from the Ocean Park Association always started with a nice little dose of honey. And you guys really did want to partner with the city. You understood the challenges the city faced. That doesn't mean you were pushovers. You certainly have your priorities, and I support them all now. But the fact of the matter is that it was always just a joy to work with people from this organization. So I really just want to say thank you and tell you I really enjoyed my time on the council. Thank you for letting me represent you for almost 16 years. And now I look forward to serving the community in a little different role.
Thank you. Cool. So let's jump into board business. That's bad. I'm gonna spin that around. We've got a pretty full summer calendar coming up. I know a few people have to leave, please just do so quietly. And I'm gonna kick off with talking about events and what we need to be thinking about and doing for the events that are coming up. First one on the calendar is a combination of the summer solstice event on Main Street and Make Music LA Day. They're both on the 21st of June, which is
Pride Day.
Which is also Pride Day. It is an incredibly busy day on the calendar. It's in less than 2 weeks. Dave, do you want to talk about the Make Music part of it first?
Yeah, because we folded into solstice. We have a spot now on the Norman Place. Yeah, it's on the west side. We're gonna get a Main Street in Norman Place. Canopy, music from noon till 5 different musical acts. And are gonna run it, and I need a couple of volunteers, I can count on it for you. Getting here and there, or getting here back home. But yeah, it is gonna happen. Should be, I think, our 11th year. We make music.
And the city said it will give us a grant to help pay for some little costs there is. They haven't given it to us yet, and Allison is hoping to get those mail out on Thursday. No matter what, we're going to do make this quality, and one way or another.
So reiterating what Dave was saying, he does need a couple volunteers that day, and hopefully a couple people in this room or someone that you can wrangle into helping out. It would mean a lot. If not, we're gonna have to hire people, and that's gonna come out of our budget. Awesome. Thank you.
21st is Saturday, right?
Saturday, June 21st. In like 12 days. You guys can connect on that. Could use probably at least one other person, I'm guessing. Speaking of volunteers, we have to decide if we are going to have a tent and a table at the event this year on Main Street. It's a big day with a lot of people. Sadly, I am out of town, so I'm not able to help or spearhead that. So putting it out to the room to see if someone, assuming we want to, which we usually do, it's a great day for collecting emails and talking about the organization and getting new members. Is there someone that's interested or available to spearhead that and try and get, half a dozen people to help run a tent?
What hours do you think?
So I believe the event in its entirety is, I think it's 12 to 5, 12 to 7. We don't need to table the whole time. I think we usually table for part of it. So call it 12 to 5 or 1 to 5, give or take, during the busiest times.
Do they know where they're setting up the table for you?
Nope, first we have to tell them we want to do it. So I'm going to put it out in the newsletter as well.
I'd be happy to help if others want to join. I won't do it on my own.
Of course, you need people with experience. Thank you.
I can help colleagues enjoy the time.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
I'll be around too. I don't know what I can do. I'll be around all day.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, John.
That's true.
Are we still talking about make music?
You have the same person who probably work at home, setting up
Yeah.
and doing the thing in reverse. You can be someone that helps at home run somebody different.
I've got all the emails. I got all the emails. If we want to coordinate, I can do that piece. I think that same day I'm committed as well. So that's
Yeah.
Where's all the Ocean Park stuff? Is it still down in the basement?
Yeah, it's in our storage space.
I'm planning to be there at the beginning part, but then I need to go over to the Pride on the promenade and the pier, so.
Yeah, it's a wild day in
Yeah.
addition to these, in addition to these two, it's Pride on the Promenade, it's Pride on the Pier. It's also the Venice Fest. There's a lot going on that day. Yeah,
If
Tony.
we are in town, we'd be glad to help at once, at wherever the setup, sit there and help.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, it should be right, Ashland Hill, right by the storage center.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and follow up with a few other people to see who can take the lead on like accessing the storage space and helping get stuff out. So, thank you everyone who raised their hand. I'll follow up with you all. Anything else on June 21st stuff? All right, let's talk about July 4th. I think this falls on July 4th this year. Which, no joke, someone asked about. Why I say that, yeah. Perfect.
Great idea.
Yes.
It's probably one of the biggest events in the city now because the fireworks been canceled. So this is the premier event. I invited the Pacific Palisades to join us this year. And they're really excited. This finally starting to get their applications in. Haven't picked out a grand marshal. And if you go to St. Monica's, I asked Monsignor Torreson to be our grand marshal, but he's a little shy. Might need some prompting. So if anybody knows him, try to help out. But it's coming along. You know, the craziness is starting. It's really getting crazy this time. The last couple of weeks, as the applications start coming in. But that theme this year is going to be celebrating 150 years of the city of Santa Monica. And
Grand Marshal?
He said we don't know yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said.
Nope.
Does Hunter know that you're talking to the Palisades people? Hunter from Hurricane State?
I haven't seen Hunter, I don't know.
Why would Hunter need to know?
He doesn't need to know, but we're gonna have a ton of people on the street. And maybe he can convince people to stay open a little longer.
Does he go open?
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been asking retailers, restaurants to stay open 4th of July. A lot of them closed down for the holiday. But we should get close to 15,000 people on the street, maybe around 1,500 to 2,000 parade. So there'll be a lot of people. It's short-lived. It only goes for 2 hours, 9:30 to 11:30. A lot of music, a lot of floats. Everybody seems to pitch in and it gets really exciting.
The reason I asked my seemingly silly question is you don't know who the grand marshal is, but if you can find some way to put it out or the options, it might convince the person who says it, and since a lot of people here know another lot of people to convince them. So I mean, trying not naming him or her may be a blockage, not a help. You know what I'm trying to say? I don't quite know how to phrase what I'm thinking, but the more you put the candidates out there, the more those of us who are in the know, there's a lot of people here who are very connected, could help with that.
Possibly if you know Monsignor Torreson over at the church.
No, that's. But thank you for at least, is there another candidate?
Not yet. Why do you want to be the grand marshal?
Is that what you're hinting at? I'm thinking I should pause.
Anyway, anyway, this is gonna be a pretty cool parade this year. Our friend Will was generous and pitched in and gave us a nice sponsorship donation.
As did Robert.
And you're still here. As did Robert Marshall.
Thank
Thanks to you guys. I want to say the buck stops here, so if anybody has extra.
So connected with these things, including what we're talking about, why don't we pick somebody who's the representative of?
No, need someone bigger.
Put an open credit on the car.
There will be an OPA vehicle. This is an OPA event. As usual, Jeff needs volunteers, day of. Want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, anybody who's willing to help, we need drivers, for some of the trucks. Don't know how many yet.
Is this?
Four. You're available, right?
I'm always available. But I might need a girlfriend by that.
She ride the truck,
Good.
yeah, that's right.
Has a lady ever been a marshal?
I can't remember, but I don't think so. Usually, we haven't had grand marshals a lot in the past. There's been only a few. I've been doing it 19 years. There's only been a few.
I was the grand marshal last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought so.
Yes.
I'm not doing it again.
I was one. I thought there was something.
Alright. Anything else in terms of volunteers, like, I know most years we have an OPA float or vehicle. We need people who are interested in decorating that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, decorating the morning of. It's really important because sometimes the truck pulls up and everybody says they're gonna do it, nobody does anything, so, it helps. It helps.
I'll check people in, just like I always do.
Big enough truck, you can actually jump in the truck and ride the parade.
I'll follow up with a few more people on that, but I'm a little worried about people power this year for that, because I know a lot of the people that have been doing it in past years are not going to be here that day, so we'll follow up with them.
To do without Angela and Lincoln also. Thought about that
No,
part.
it's tough with the truck.
It's a challenge.
I mean, I feel it because we would use them for marching band, so.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it's a bit of the challenge for the trucks because the closest ones are maybe the marina, but they're expensive, and then North Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood.
So it's a lot of trucking around.
I have one last suggestion. How about an animal? I'm serious.
We've got to move on in terms of the conversation, though. You can talk to Jeff one-on-one about it.
There's the animal right there.
Ginger could be the
Ginger.
grand marshal.
All right.
Ginger didn't get.
Anything else 4th of July, we need to talk about or you need, Jeff?
That's it. We kind of lost a lot of the crowd here, but yes, everybody should come and see the parade.
July, did we have a meeting?
Yeah, I believe the plan is to have a meeting on July 14th, but I know some years we've skipped July. So put that out to board and community to say whether we should be having one.
I really believe we should have a meeting.
Yep. Is there anyone that thinks we should, let's rephrase, is there anyone that thinks we should be skipping July? Good, so the second Monday in July is July 14th. I believe Mayor Negrete is already on the calendar to join that meeting, as is Kathy Taylor from Santa Monica Fire Department, so.
Best field. That's about it.
I think the city's operating that day.
It's on Ginger's calendar.
Good.
We don't have employees.
Maybe even the social.
Next up, let's jump into anyone who has updates on existing task forces or committees. John.
Main Street.
Yes.
So, with this coming weekend is the soft opening for for the outdoor refreshment area up on the promenade. Once that gets set, we've already started talking to the city about what we can do in Ocean Park, on Main Street to take advantage of those regulations. I think the same conversations are happening with Montana and Ocean Park. So we're looking to expand that zone. So we can start to do, kind of, what they're doing on the promenade. Now, we have limitations, of course, because we have buses and cars, and it's a little different than the promenade. So the idea is just to be able to have the outdoor refreshment area coincide with other street closings, like possibly on the 4th of July or solstice. It won't happen this year, but that's what we're looking
You got my vote.
at.
You're saying just for holidays, not.
Well, whatever people think, remember there's a group that closes the street for parade, right? I don't know if it's Hindu or I can't remember exactly. Yeah, all right, whatever. So yeah, to be able to, when the street's already closed, because the idea is fixed cost is already built in, right? For the closure that's set up.
So Hunter came to a meeting a few months ago and floated this as well, just for us to be thinking about, again, nothing this year, but potentially, combine that entertainment zone policies around events, right? So, more to come on that. Anything else on existing committees or task forces? Ian had something he wanted to bring up that doesn't exist that he wanted to share with people.
Oh, so, I thought it was gonna be, okay.
Do you want to wait a little bit?
No. So this agenda item concerns having some Zoom calls with talking about events, significant events in Santa Monica's history. That came about because on the Zoom call that we've still been having since the pandemic, there are any number of times when people have said, we're losing the institutional history of the city. There's turnover on the city council. A lot of staff are leaving, and we're going to lose a lot of institutional memory. So the idea was to try and, in cooperation with the city, and we're fortunate that they're former city councilors who still live in the area, and so on. We could use them, perhaps even former staff, senior city staff members, to hold a number of Zooms, as I say, and this is just the beginning. So I just wanted to make people aware we were thinking of this, and we'd have more to say about it later.
Cool. Jerry?
Yeah, and just to follow up with that, I think if people have the time on a Wednesday afternoon to plug in again to the Zoom meetings, because they're really informative. I know Gleam Davis came for the longest time and is very commendable, and Natalia from the city council comes to follow up and give some good information about what happened with the meeting and what's coming up, and Dan from the council has done that, and I particularly want to thank Judy for helping to put that together. And
He's talking about OPA Connects.
yeah,
and
Open
we
Connects.
love to have people join us every Wednesday at noon.
And it's just a little less than an hour, but it's
Yeah.
really informative.
45 minutes on the notes.
Yeah.
Yes, 45 minutes.
Will was the one that had a great deal to do with setting.
Yeah.
Well, we started as a result of COVID. Mark, former president, and Judy helped during COVID. It was a reliable thing. Every Wednesday at noon, you could count on it. And everybody wanted to pull the plug on it, but Judy kept saying, no, let's keep it going. And you kept it going. I was in graduate school. It's been a really good thing. It's rare that you talk to a council member and get sort of the immediate scoop on what happened the night before, and have like rational, interesting conversations with a couple of former mayors, a couple of council members. It's really good for people. So thank you, Judy, for being that call. And great. So we're welcome.
We have a great time every Wednesday. It's usually not planned, but just fun.
Well trained, the president.
No, I would say we train each other. Actually, Judy and I have that kind of relationship. We're good friends. I learned from her. She learned from me.
Any other committee or task force updates tonight? I know some people like Abe and others are gone, so missing those. Want to talk for a minute about sponsorships, business memberships. So, as most of us know, we launched that last year. I think we're up to 15 or 16 business memberships, including Rob Mascio, who joined us in the last couple of months. Thank you for silver level membership. And we have someone else who wants to step up with a membership level that doesn't currently exist, but I wanted to float it by everyone and make sure we talk about this because it's significant. So another realtor in the neighborhood, Raphael Berrigan at Douglas Elliman, he's sponsored he's been a regular sponsor of events for us for a few years now. I think he sponsored Santa Claus the last 2 years, the Christmas event. He's sponsored some other stuff, and he wanted he wanted to show his support in a more comprehensive way and create sort of like a year-long sponsorship where he commits $3,000 to the organization. That includes an annual sponsorship for all of our events. So it's sort of just built into everything. But it also, it is an annual commitment that also includes adding, I think once a month at the bottom of the newsletter, some sort of advertising that's of his choosing, with discretion, of course. Wanted to float this by to see if there's any questions or concerns or thoughts about some sort of a platinum level sponsorship like this, and see if see what the temperature of the room is. Lucy.
Sounds like a great idea, really.
Thank you. Mark, then John.
Is he advertising?
He's a realtor.
Commercial.
I think residential. I think he's just residential.
I happen to know him, and he's actually he's a quality human being, very well respected in his amongst his peers. Wonder why he's still in business.
That's valuable feedback. Thank you, Rob. Judy, John, then Judy, and yourself, Ross, right? Pretty exciting.
Is 3,000 enough? I think, funding is gonna be really critical given the state of the city, right? And, I don't know how the number was raised or how it came to be, but, I say 4 or 5.
So it's something I've actually gone back and forth with him quite a bit about, and our largest membership tier right now is $250 a year. So that's a pretty big step up. And there's no more room. There's no more there. Patty, then.
You know that 250 is really the top. It's a goal. Platinum, if you jump to $3,000 for platinum, you're never gonna get nothing.
Never say never.
If you go up to 500 or 1,000, that's that, and then he can continue to donate. So that would be his membership fee, and then whatever else comes in as a gift. Like when Judy just throws $100 at us because she's in the building. But
That's interesting thing, but we could try and be creative about how we structure it and maybe say it's $1,000 platinum sponsorship plus commitment, $500 commitment to this, $500 commitment to that, that's completely due. I don't think he'll care about that. That's interesting.
Somebody else can also reach. That I never thought you'd get the gold. Now there's 8 of them.
Yeah.
Great.
So, yeah, it has to be reachable.
Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you.
My suggestion is just along the lines of getting more donations from individuals like that. You're selling advertising. I think that could be, if he's the only realtor that's going to advertise on your monthly, that's what he should be paying for. And then making something that you can attract more platinum level at something along the lines of what you're saying. Because what if you get a second realtor, they're not going to want to advertise next to him, right, on the newsletter. So maybe agreeing that you're not going to allow another realtor to be on that monthly, and that's the value, and then create whatever you want for this platinum membership. And even charge him monthly. allow him to advertise at the booths. That's what he's paying for,
Yeah.
is for your email list, which I think. is effective.
Also alternate. If you
That was the idea is to alternate. It wouldn't be, he wouldn't get advertising on every newsletter. I think it would be the bottom of the newsletter. I think I have to check the details, but it was either every other week or once a month, something like that.
I would say, the money goes up every month.
Yeah.
That's-
Ian, then Mark, sorry.
I mean, my suggestion is, there might be many things that we're not thinking about tonight. It might be worth putting together just a couple of people to consider the issue and bring it back.
Okay.
So, would it count this to be a charitable deduction, or would it be a business expense, a tax expense to him? I mean, would it mess with your 501k?
Not our concern, I don't think.
No.
It's money coming in, how he decides to treat it is on him.
Yeah, and he's getting a benefit, so.
So we don't plan to talk to his accountant.
But I think whatever you decide to do, I think advertising that benefit to other potential
Yeah.
people, I think that's the value. You
Yeah.
created a new tier, which has
Yeah.
some value,
Thank you.
whatever you decide to do.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Cool, stay tuned.
Can I just say one quick thing?
Of course.
It's appropriate, but it was announced not by me. Beginning of the meeting, next Saturday, the King Day.
No, I thought it's No King Day.
Oh, no King Day. And guess who the king is?
So there is a rally, Pacific
11 to
Palisades Park, 11 a.m. for sort of an No King's Day.
Montana Avenue.
Yep.
Yes, at Montana.
Any last item on the agenda is, I really want to just take a moment to thank Will. I know, but all the board members got this note today. He is sadly moving to the East Coast. We'll talk about it later. Will, it's been amazing working with you, spending time with you, becoming friends with you. You are going to be a loss to the neighborhood, the organization, to me. Hopefully you will help turn Florida blue. I know we're not supposed to talk about politics in here. But thank you for everything.
Thank you. I just want to say quickly, we are, Judy got involved, when I moved here, and my partner Cameron moved here in 2017, UBC. We're just moving back for St. Peter, but it's too close to the family and friends, but I'll bring with me, there's a great spirit of the local involvement here, local activism here. This group doesn't complain so much, we actually inform, listen, become educated, and so much, I hope you're bring that, it's a pretty cool area we're moving to. It is actually. We know there's a lot going on, Father, I gotta do this quickly, I'll try, but the things we'll get to deal with, we're gonna be right downtown St. Pete, you can walk to Tampa Bay, but on the other side, like, what do we say? Oh, that's okay, well, right? Well, Governor DeSantis signed a law recently that says any textbook, state of Florida, has to reference all of America. And so we are gonna be entering into that way. So yeah, my part is like, what is called it all? So that's what we do. I appreciate it. I'll be here. It's gonna be here. That's why it's so fun.
Look, I want it personally, because you were thanks.
He taught me how to do Zoom.
I told, remember, you said, no, it's gonna do this, and now it's right. Anyway, now you're a Zoom queen.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other open agenda items? It's opening the floor. All right, I'm actually shocked we're ahead of schedule. I don't know how that happened.
Motion to adjourn.
Hold on, Tony, did you have a question?
It's more about, like, again, I'm talking about each meeting is about getting more of your friends and neighbors who live in the area to come to meetings and join OPA and be part of the events and get more OPA.
Thank you.
So Tess had an event.
Oh, yeah, I'll talk to Sean now.
And I think that connecting the people who came to Tessa's event, which was at the church in Ocean Park. And our group would be a good thing.
Yep, so Tessa's come to a couple meetings. I messaged with her about how we can better coordinate. She's out of town today, but we're gonna try and coordinate more. For those of you that don't know Tess, she's super sort of motivated community, I'll say community organizer, who's been running a few events lately. She did a chili cook-off last weekend that was well attended, and we're gonna try and coordinate more around just more community events. So
Starting on Thursday, I believe that's coming up, there's gonna be every other Thursday at the picnics in the park at Hotchkiss Park. It will happen, I think, 4 Thursdays, or at least all summer. Let me find the next Thursday when that occurs.
I think it's July, isn't it?
It starts this next, I believe the 26th is the first, which is in June.
okay.
It's every other Thursday, picnic in the park. June 23rd. I believe so.
Yeah.
Well, I went to her event and it was very, very well attended with a lot of people that I'd never seen before, who are Ocean Park people.
It begins June 26th, every other Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30. Picnics will be BYO, food, drink, blanket chair, 5:30 to 7:30.
Cool. So check it out. I'll try and pop in the newsletter as well if she's cool with it. She hasn't wanted previous events in the newsletter yet because she wanted to manage the number of people.
Yeah, it's got bigger than she thought.
Yeah. So plan to work with her on that. Jeff?
Motion to adjourn.
Not yet. I believe Kelly had sent out the minutes from the May meeting. Is there a motion to accept the May minutes? Tony, motion. Is there a second? Jeff, board members only. All in favor? Any opposed? Minutes are accepted. What?
Yes.
You abstain. Fine, be that way. I'm sorry. Now, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? I'm gonna give it to Jeff. Will, is there a motion to, is there a second to that motion?
I second behind you.
Thank you, Will. All right, all in favor? Thank you, everyone. Meeting's over at 8:10 PM.
That's so early. Jeez,
Wow.
If you text one, Susan,
I have one, do not. Thank you. Happy to.
And I know you do, but I looked at my.
Cool.
That was 23.
Wow, very good. And thanks for speaking up. I appreciate you jumping right in.
You've had a very good meeting.
Thank you.
Could you keep it going?
I'll try.